Welcome back and welcome to the state capitol here. Lawmakers have wrapped up most of their business for the year with a pair of floor sessions earlier this week. And joining us now to break it all down is Milwaukee Journal Sentinel reporter Jesse Opoien. Thanks so much for joining us.
Glad to be here, Will.
So the breaking news of the week, obviously, Brewers have a new manager with Craig Council moving to the Cubs. Oh yeah, and they also have some stadium funding that passed the legislature this week. Came kind of down to the wire with some late night negotiations. What happened there?
So this passed the Assembly a while ago with pretty overwhelming bipartisan support, but it really stalled when it got to the Senate, and they were still negotiating Monday night. Spoke to some senators around 5 o'clock. They were expecting a late night and got in here Tuesday morning. They reached a deal. They secured a couple of things that Democrats were looking for in order to get their support because there weren't enough Republican votes to pass this. So those key things were expanding membership on the Stadium District Board to have local representation from the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County, and then further efforts to reduce the state's contribution by kind of escalating, ramping up a graduated surcharge on non-Brewers tickets.
So if you're going to a monster truck rally or something, or a Taylor Swift concert perhaps.
Or a Taylor Swift concert,
yes.
Fingers crossed.
Right, exactly. What would that look like for a consumer?
So it's going to start off as just a $2 surcharge, and then over time, gradually, that'll be $3, and then it'll go up to $4. And then if you're buying tickets in a luxury box or a suite, then I think that starts at $8, and then also kind of gradually increases over time.
Yeah, I feel like the best way to watch Taylor Swift concert, though, not in the luxury box.
I think that's right. I think you have to be in the action for that. As someone who has attended, though, and sat in the nosebleeds, there's really not a bad place to watch.
There you go, yes. I was also fascinated kind of on the vote lines, because as you mentioned, it wasn't all Republicans, all Democrats. It's kind of a mix of both. Have we seen stuff like that before recently?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I mean, we actually saw that breakdown on a couple other bills that the Senate took up that day on some alcohol regulation stuff. But no, it was interesting when you had some Milwaukee area Democrats who still felt like it wasn't a good enough deal and voted against it. It was a 19-14 vote, and it really just broke down across some really interesting party lines.
And this is one of the rare pieces of legislation we're expecting the governor to sign, possibly, too, right?
Yeah, he's on board. I think he's going to do it probably as soon as possible, so we got to actually wait for the bill to get to his desk, and then he has said he'll sign it. And I think the Brewers are looking forward to focusing on sports again and their new management and getting those repairs going.
Passing out of both chambers this week was an overhaul to how alcohol is regulated here in Wisconsin. We weren't necessarily expecting to see that brought to the floor on Tuesday.
That was a little bit of a surprise. It was done in a pretty procedurally creative way, so this got brought to the floor actually as an amendment to a mostly unrelated bill. We actually saw a little bit of procedural drama, which can be kind of fun. We had the Senate president actually said that it was not properly before the floor, and then we had a majority vote to actually reverse that decision, which almost never happens in the Senate. Once again, saw some really interesting cross-party alignment on that, and actually had Democrats and Republicans working together to introduce some amendments, none of which actually went through, but they kicked that back over to the Assembly, and that's on its way to the governor's desk as well.
And so we see some, like a new agency in DOR, some changes to wedding barns, but this is not the first time that we've seen alcohol regulation be floated in the Capitol. It's been around for a while, right?
It has been revisited over and over and over again. There's a lot of different interests involved here, right? You've got distributors, you've got retailers, you've got the actual, producers themselves, you've got taverns, you've got restaurants, you've got the wedding barns. A lot of interest to get at the table to come to an agreement. They've been trying for a very long time to do this, and they finally got there. Still not everyone is happy. As you mentioned, the wedding barn owners are really unhappy with this bill. It's going to restrict a lot of what they can do, but when you can get all of those different lobbying groups and lawmakers and the governor's administration together on something like this, it's pretty rare to make that happen. And alcohol is obviously an important industry in Wisconsin, also very difficult to regulate, very complicated system.
And of course, we cannot forget brandy old-fashioned passing in the state assembly. That is the official state cocktail in Wisconsin. How do you like yours?
I've recently was turned on to the debate over the savory accent as the garnish, and I have to say, better than I thought it would be. But I'm usually a press girl, and I gotta be honest, I kind of prefer it with bourbon.
Interesting. I'm with you. Bourbon's always good. I'm a neat guy, so with the soda, that makes it a little interesting for me. Well, Jesse Opoien with the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, thanks so much
Thanks,
for
Will.
joining us.